Everyone, we want to welcome you to the last show of 2017. Can you believe it? We are here. We are here at the end of 2017. We want to thank those of you who have journeyed with us throughout the year. Can you believe it? 52 whole weeks, and you have hung out with us. And as God would have it, we are ending the show with Pastor's Corner, Food for Your Soul. And we have in studio a local pastor. Actually, I call him my brother. He is my brother. We kind of were birthed in the same church.
Right.
We were just talking about it offline. We were in the same class because that's what North Park was really run like an academy, and so like a spiritual academy.
That's true.
And so we were kind of in the same class. We graduated. And so I want to introduce to those who are tuning in and who don't recognize this young man, I want to introduce to you Pastor Shaunte Cephus of Epic Encounters. Welcome. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me on here.
Absolutely, man.
This show is becoming huge. So this is a good thing. This is a good thing. I'm actually intimidated by being on the show because it's becoming that big. So.
Man, listen, wherever this show goes is where God wants to take it. So let's just get to know. So before we jump off into the deep end, so Pastor Shaunte is going to, talk to us a little bit about our own personal year in review, looking at our lives, where we are as we are 2 days out or a day out. Was it a day?
We have 48 hours of 2017 left.
That's it. And so should the Lord be gracious to us and we cross over and we see January 1st and continue on 2018, we're going to do kind of like a spiritual year in review, looking back, looking forward.
Review.
Rear
view. That's why I call it. We done a series recently.
Okay.
For this past month it's called the Rear View. Basically looking back at 2017 and putting it behind us.
Nice.
Okay. 2017 behind us, so.
I love it. So before we jump off into the deep end, we're going to get to know him. So I'm going to ask different questions because he's from San Diego, and I've had some pastors here in the studio as well as some entrepreneurs and politicians and artists who are from San Diego. And so for those of you who've traveled with us over the last 5 years, can you believe it? 5 years. You know San Diego. So we're going to do something a little bit different with getting to know you. All right. If you didn't have to sleep, what would you do with the extra time?
If I didn't have to sleep.
Yes.
What would I do with the extra time?
That's what I said.
I would probably be in a coffee shop somewhere reading. That's like my favorite pastime.
Okay.
Truth be told, I sneak off of work sometimes just so that I can go to, oh man, my boss is probably watching. Just so that I can go to coffee shops and to get my alone time.
That's okay. So what are you reading?
Everything.
Okay.
A lot of my favorite books are Christian books.
Right.
But I'm a diehard sports fan too.
Okay.
Sports material, entrepreneurship material, just things of interest.
Okay.
And then if I could really get some time, if I didn't have to sleep. Truth be told, if I wasn't reading at a coffee shop, I'd probably be somewhere playing Madden on PS4.
Madden on PS4. Okay, that's football. Okay, got
Video
it.
games.
Okay. No, I figured out the PS4 part. I did all by myself.
Or NBA 2K on Xbox.
Okay.
One or the other.
All right. So let's jump over to the reading thing because that made me excited. I got all what is. If you could pick 2 books this year, it doesn't have to be Christian. We're not going to put you on that, you're a pastor, so it has to be a theological book.
Right.
2 books you've read this year that you were like, oh, this is on my bookshelf of we'll read again.
I would like to say there's a book by, my favorite writer is Charles Swindoll.
Oh, he is dope.
And so he did a book that it was on his character series. I've read his whole character series. Moses, Joseph, Esther, Jesus, Paul, Elijah. My favorite one by far that I've read over the past year was Abraham.
Really?
That's his latest one, and it's about 3 years old now.
Wow.
But I finally got a chance to look at it and read through it, and it's mind blowing. You get a lot of revelation out of it.
Okay. All right. Very nice. I'm going to check that out.
Oh, yeah.
I was introduced to the character series way back when. I think I started it and then, picked up another book and never went back to that book. But it was interesting what I read. The other book just kind of took me over. So,
see, I think what I like about Swindoll is he knows how to tell a practical story about biblical characters.
That's
and
good.
It's so pragmatic the way he presents it. It's like, okay, dude, anybody could capture that.
Right.
And so he knows how to paint a picture. So that's what I love about Charles Swindoll.
Nice. What's another one?
I've read so many.
I know it's kind of hard to pick, right?
It is. It's hard. It would have to be one by John MacArthur.
Oh, he's a good one.
The Tale of Two Sons by John MacArthur.
Oh, he's a good one.
Yeah, The Tale of Two Sons.
Yeah, MacArthur's good.
The Tale of Two Sons. My best year for reading is not this year. Yeah. My best year for reading was a couple of years ago, where I strived to read 52 books in 1 year. And I ended up reading 54.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, up top.
It was crazy. It was just like...
Do books on tape count?
Sure.
Because I do books on tape.
If you're mobile, that's the best way to do them.
I'm telling you.
So yeah.
Okay. Far. All right. So you would read with the extra time, or you'd be playing video games.
I would, or I would. We definitely do. We have busy lives, so the kids always have to go somewhere. I always have a honey-do list of things to do, and so with the extra
Shout
time,
out to Brakia. Thought you were going to be here, but that's okay.
Yeah, I would probably do some of the things I've been assigned to do on my honey-do list. So maybe, no, I wouldn't. I would. I'm not even gonna sit here and tell that lie. No, I wouldn't. And she's probably sitting here. She's probably watching right now, saying he wouldn't. He wouldn't. He would have done it already.
Okay, so let's transition just a little bit and let's go to hobbies. If time and money were not an issue, what hobby would you get into?
Hobby? If time and money weren't an issue, does traveling count as a hobby?
Heck yeah.
Okay, we would spend more time traveling and going to different places, different cities. Interesting enough, we just came in last night from Utah.
What?
Yeah, we had to be here, so we drove. Brakia drove like crazy to get here today so that we could spend time. But we would spend. She's more of a national park type person. So
okay,
leave it up to her. She's like all into nature. I'm more cityfied. I would like to visit different cities. I want to go see different neighborhoods. I would like to visit all the boroughs in New York. That's like a goal of mine. I want to spend like a week in New York and just visit all the boroughs. But we would definitely spend time traveling.
You know what the best way to do that is? I found is if you know someone who lives in the city to either get where do I go that's safe for a tourist, and how do I not look like... Yeah, because I want to
get robbed. And then
right. And how do I not look like a tourist? How do I not look like the...
Right. He looks like a Californian. Rob him.
With the camera.
Yeah.
Can you get a picture?
No. I want to blend in. I want to blend in. Right.
It's either to know somebody who can give you recommendations or have someone who lives there. Right. If somebody were coming to visit San Diego, you can go to the zoo and all of our national attractions and SeaWorld. But if you really want to know how San Diegans live, then you gotta hang out.
You gotta hang out
with San Diegans.
That's true enough. I had someone come out here from Florida one time.
Yeah.
And I said, hey man, why don't we go get some Mexican food, man? And they were like, sure, we're going to Taco Bell. And all I could do was laugh. I was just like, dude, no, that's not even. We don't even call Taco Bell Mexican food here. But if you're not from San Diego, that's what you think Mexican food is. So.
But here's the thing, though. Once you have lived in San Diego will ruin your life when it comes to Mexican food. Because you cannot go anywhere else and have whatever they call. Like, I had guacamole paste one time, and I was offended to my soul.
Yeah.
I was offended to my soul.
So this is paste. There's no real avocado in here. This avocado flavored green substance.
Yeah. Okay, so travel is a good one.
We would travel. Braiki and I have a goal That's to have our passport stamped, full of stamps.
Oh, that's awesome.
We want to go through different locations and different places, and we like to travel. We like to get going. We like to leave San Diego, but we like to come back.
Right.
And we want to come back, but we like to leave San Diego, go out and do things, and just travel.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny because especially now that, you know, we're in ministry and we're pastoring, you would crack up. Actually, it's not funny. It's sad when you meet the people in ministry and their only time to travel is if it's church related or ministry related. In other words, I'm going for a conference.
Right.
I'm going to hear so-and-so speak, this church growth seminar. I'm going over here because I heard that they're doing a concert in Wichita, Kansas somewhere, and it's a big a concert. All the gospel greats are going to be. And very few people in ministry actually get out and actually go travel and do things.
Right.
And I understand because, you know, when the call is on your life, you feel like that's a part of you. But I got to be honest, there are times when we want to travel and we don't want to talk about anything church related.
Right.
We don't want to talk about anything church related. We don't want to talk about church people. We don't want to talk about messages. We don't want to talk. We want to just go out and just visit and do regular stuff. But the reason why I say it's sad is because it's very few. And I thought it was just a pastor thing. I thought it was just a ministry thing. But it's sad because very few people actually get out and travel as much.
Right. And so, to your first point, a lot of times it's okay. So let's say you're going to Wichita, Kansas. Did you actually see Kansas? Or did you just go to the conference in Kansas?
And I crack up at that when people, I'm like, hey, man, so what do you want to do? You need to get out. You've been working hard, stuff like that. Why don't you take some time away? And they're like, yeah, you know, I heard about this conference going on. I'm like, see, stop right there. No. Like, it's sad if you're a Californian and you've never been to Disneyland. Oops, we found one.
Right. No. I've been.
Oh my God, the cameraman.
Wait a minute. California.
The cameraman has been in San Diego for 25 years. He's never been to Disneyland. Okay,
we are not going to address the cameraman because there's a lot.
Yeah, he's a show all into himself. So, but yeah, starting with the Diet Coke. But anyways. So
someone has an addiction. We're not going to say who.
But yeah, we definitely have to get out and enjoy this. And
so I definitely agree with you on that. As far as the importance to get out, because what it does, even if you don't have the opportunity to travel internationally, let's say you don't have the funds.
Yes.
Just being able to travel nationally will expand your horizons.
Yes.
You get to meet, everybody is not the same. We're not homogenous as a country. And so you'll get to meet people from different walks of life. You'll get to meet people who have different stories. You'll get to see something new. And all of it expands your cognitive horizons.
Right.
And especially when you're in ministry, that's the stuff you get to bring back.
Yes.
And it takes the Bible to a whole nother level.
To a different level.
That's Matt TV.
Yeah.
But it takes it to a different level.
Right.
And you're able to, okay, I get a different perspective on that.
Right.
Versus if you stay like in, not just in San Diego, but in the same community that you've always been in. So I think that's really incredible. And then that's a gift as a pastor that you can give to your congregation as well, because I was talking to a friend of mine and she brought out a really good point. She was just like, whatever the spirit of the pastor is, that's what the people will have. And so if you're
good.
Right. And so if you're somebody who likes to travel and to learn and to expand your horizon, then you pass that on to the people that are in your congregation and they have the same desire.
That's good. I like that.
Yeah.
I'm going to steal that one.
Go ahead. It's free. You heard it here today on the Simone Edwards Show. All right, you guys, we're going to take a break for station identification. We will be back with Pastor Shaunte in just a moment, and we're going to talk about Evolve. What on earth? We're going to be talking about that. We'll be back in just a moment.
You are listening to the San Diego station of inspiration. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. KTAV Radio. For more information on how you can advertise your business, event, or services, please visit us online at KTAV.tv or call 619-246-6131. We are also offering 30 and 60-minute time slots for your ministry or podcast. For more information on how you can become a part of KTAV Station of Inspiration lineup, please call 619-246-6131 or visit us online at ktav.tv/ministry.
All right, you guys, we are back here in studio with Pastor Shaunte Cephus of Epic Encounters. So before we jump off into Evolve, talk to us about the call to pastor. When did you realize that this was a call that God had on your life?
You know, I knew that the call was on my life about 2 years before I started pastoring. Mm-hmm. And it's one of those things. So let's go back. When I first got the call to ministry, the call to pastor was almost the same way. Mm-hmm. You hear the call to ministry, you know that you're calling ministry, and for me, you quickly tell it, shut up. You know, you just got an upset stomach or something, shut up. Right. You know, I mean, it's just because for me, you know, I fought wanting to be like, you know what, that's just the normal path you do. You get saved, and now everybody wants to be a preacher.
Right.
And so I was like, for a couple of years before I finally submitted to the call of preaching, I don't want to say I ran from it, but I just tried my best to ignore it and find something else to do because I wanted to make sure that I wasn't just doing this because like that's the only thing offered to you.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so, and I knew once I submitted to it and I understood and I talked with the Lord, I said, look, I got to be different. Because I'm not the type that's going to wear a robe or a collar,
right?
Or going to tell people to touch my neighbor or whatever. You know, my calling is different,
right?
And so I'm a unique dude,
right?
You know, and I see this thing different. See, so most people, you know, when they get saved, they see the gospel in black and white. See, I see neon, fusion. You know, manta, you know, just different stuff. And so I said, Lord, this has got to be unique.
Right.
And not only that, who are you sending me for?
Right.
Who are you sending me for? And so that's, you know, that's when I accepted the call to minister. The same thing happened. It was almost the same from when I was called to pastor. It was like, okay, you know, that's the natural progression of a minister. You know, minister, ordained elder, open a church. And I was just like, I'm cool with not ever doing that.
Right.
And I want to make sure that I'm not doing this because I've ran out of options.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But there has to be a call because one thing about me is, and we'll get into consistency later, is that I'm gifted in the fact that when I do something, that I'm going to be consistent at it. Therein lies my problem too. I sometimes don't know when to let go.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So I'm going to be consistent for the most part. I'm not going to have ADD. We'll talk about that later too.
Okay.
And start letting, if this is my task, I want to be diligent with that, and I want to be on point with that.
Right.
And I want to be like clockwork.
Right.
You know, I know that this is going to, and so therein lies the problem too, is sometimes that, you know, you have to be comfortable when God shifts for you to say, you know what, okay, I'm done with this assignment.
Right.
And so for me, I had to really hear from the Lord. And not only that, you know, I know that the call is not only a personal call, but it affects the family.
Right.
And so I really had to sit there and scratch my head and ask the question, is my family ready for this?
Right.
Or am I ready to bring my family along with me on this journey? Are they ready to do this? Because, you know, again, we're a different family.
Right.
We live by a different set of rules. We have a different way of looking at things. And I just had to know that God was still, because see, this is the thing. God will call you and say, yeah, with all of that, I've still called you.
Right.
Yeah, I understand you're unique. I understand you're different. I understand you look at the glass as half full type of person. But yeah, with all of that, I still need you to come.
Right.
Yeah,
He's like, yeah. I hear you.
But besides your speech impediment, Moses, I still need you to go.
Right. I hear you.
Go talk to my people.
Yeah, I hear you.
So.
But you're gonna do it though, right?
Right.
Yeah, I see your point. That's a good point. That's a great observation. Yeah. You do have a hard time letting, but you're still gonna do it though, right? Right. Oh, and the question is rhetorical because I'm really telling you that you're gonna do this.
Yeah, I'm not really asking. I'm just telling you, okay. This is what you're going to do.
Right.
But if you acknowledge it'll go a lot faster. It'll be a lot easier. So that's kind of how it started for me, and I hope I answered that.
You did.
Yeah, and that's kind of how it started. So because I just know that Shaunte in him, Shaunte is a whole different individual.
Right.
He is a whole different individual. I know that, the way he was saved was different. I know the way his walk has been different, and so you have to be, you have to be secure in that, and also too, you have to be secure in yourself, knowing that it's okay that I'm not the prototypical preacher or the prototypical pastor, or that I don't fit the mold.
But in this day and age, this is what God is calling for, because we're in a different time. I mean, time has shifted. There's been a shift and I'm not talking about shift the way it's used, like, in different conferences and,
right.
When people try to be prophetic or whatever. I'm talking about in the sense of all you have to do naturally is just step back and go, even in our generation, because we're around the same age.
Yes. We're very young. We're both very young.
Yes, we are. We're
late
young.
20s.
We are.
And
we
stuff.
are. We are well preserved.
And stuff. Right.
Hallelujah. But thinking about high school when we were coming up, and high school now,
right,
and how it is like a completely different animal.
Yes.
I mean, some of the bones may still be there, but the skin and the sinews and even the life that's flowing through high school is so different. And so there's a shift. I mean, there's a time when people had a reverence for church.
Right.
There isn't a reverence for church anymore. So we're dealing with a different generation. So the preacher of yesteryear is going to find himself maybe not as effective in this generation. So God is calling. He hasn't changed the gospel. He hasn't changed who he is. He's just made a people for this generation.
And let me add with that. I knew we shifted in 2002. 2002, I was at college, and it was 4 years past when I originally started. I've been on and off to college, and so past the original time I started college, and now by the time I'm back in at the time in 2002, there's a whole new generation of people that are in my class now. This generation of students had never been in a church ever before.
Right.
Now, at least growing up, we might not have been consistent church goers, but you've been at least for funerals, for weddings. Baby christenings. You had at least a reason to go.
Right.
This was the first time that I had encountered a generation that had never stepped foot in a church.
Right.
And then that's when I had the aha moment, and then that's when the epiphany kicked in. So, that's... and so now it looks real crazy from a perspective when we're trying to win a generation and invite them, and keep in mind, they live in sunny San Diego, California. Probably the best place for weather all year round, in one of the best places for weather all year round, all the earth. And now I'm inviting them to come into my service, and when they come here, they see everybody dressed up in three-piece suits.
Right.
Dresses on from here. Right. Ladies are wearing dresses to here, and it's 89-degree weather. Keep in mind, the only time they've ever been in an interaction with a church where they've seen people dress up is at a funeral.
Right.
And so that's the mindset of the generation that we're dealing with. And so, but we're saying to them, but come on, you fit in around here. Really?
Mm-hmm. Right.
You all are dress like you're going to a funeral in 89-degree weather. Really, I fit in around here.
Right.
And so, I that's where I sensed a shift in the culture. It was around 2002 when, and it shocked me. I was like, you mean nobody? I mean, you didn't go on Easter?
Right.
Because for us, it was like, you at least went to church on Easter, even if you weren't a church. And I wasn't a consistent churchgoer growing up. I got saved at 18 years old.
Right.
And so that's when that's when I set on my path. But that's what messed me up. That whole change in the culture.
And it I do agree with you in the sense that I have met people, you're just kind of talking because you have this because I didn't grow up in church. I mean, I was a child in church, and then when I would say probably around the age of 10 or 12, and then I lived with my grandmother for a while, and my grandmother was, you were going to church no matter what.
Yeah.
And then when I moved to the States, my mom was kind of like, eh. And so I was like, cool, because I was 12, right? So the Lord didn't save me. I didn't really interact again. It was like an in and out thing. Didn't really interact again until I was around 28. That's when I can say God really got a hold of me. But there were dabblings throughout. When you meet somebody who's like, I've never dabbled.
Right.
Never. I don't know what you're talking about with these
that.
Bibles.
Dabble. Yeah,
I don't.
What is that?
What
Bible study?
Who's David? You know what I mean? Or who's Goliath? And it's not that they're not intelligent. These are extremely intelligent people. They've just never been introduced to God. So there's a whole different way to approach someone that has never met God. Right. And now you're introducing them to the true and living God who is invisible. And it's, okay, let's take this journey together.
Right.
And see what that looks like. And there's a way to talk to them so that they're not belittled. And that you don't insult their intelligence. And so it's really about learning to speak their language. Paul says, I become all things to all men. So it's about learning to speak the language that they're speaking so that you can offer them Christ.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I agree.
It's a whole learning to fish. So I agree with you. Some people are not, especially if they've never been to church and they've spent most of their Sunday down at Pacific Beach.
And
they're not going to be.
How are you going to convince me to give up? How are you going to convince me to give up the surf to come here for a 3-hour service?
Wow, right.
In an hour message of call and response, but
Yeah, and so it's right, and so God has fashioned you for the people that He has called you to lead at Epic. Right. And so we're going to talk about the evolve, and we're going to talk about being consistent, and then we're going to talk about maybe some things not to do in 2018. All right, you guys, we have been talking our heads off. We'll be back in just a moment. Hang tight.
You are listening to the San Diego station of inspiration. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. KTAV Radio. For more information on how you can advertise your business, event, or services, please visit us online at ktav.tv or call 619-246-6131. We are also offering 30 and 60-minute time slots for your ministry or podcast. For more information on how you can become a part of KTAV's Station of Inspiration lineup, please call 619-246-6131 or visit us online at ktav.tv/ministry.
All right, you guys, we are back here in studio with Pastor Shaunte Cephus of Epic Encounters. We are cutting up offline because all of us we all grew up in the same church together, and so this is like a family reunion of sorts. And
sort of, right?
Nothing has changed, y'all. Nothing has changed. All right, so let's jump off into the deep end. One of the things that you wanted to touch on as we're looking in our rearview mirror is evolving. What do you mean by that? How can we evolve?
Evolve. In 2018, we have to evolve. And God really got on me leaving 2017 and going into next year, 2018, having to evolve. Because there are some things that God, and this is just me, He's working on me.
Right.
But there's something that He's working on me, but it's an issue with, I want to say, with the kingdom in general, and that's in the fact that we've got to do better. We've got to do better on an individual level, on a spiritual level, on a financial level. We've got to do better.
Right.
And there's so many areas and there's so many opportunities for us to just evolve. You know, the Bible talks about transforming, having a renewed mind.
Right.
And see, that's consistent. That's consistent. You don't just get saved and you stop transforming.
Right.
The transformation is supposed to be consistent with your life. It's ever evolving. You know, new wineskins. Right. And it's supposed to continue. But what happens is somewhere along the line, and I talked about this recently in a Bible study, is that something happens in our walk to where this thing now becomes a chore.
Wow.
You know, the things of God become a chore, whether it's going to church, whether it's praying, whether it's fasting, whether it's studying, whether it's preaching, whether it's teaching, whether it's witnessing. This thing becomes a chore for us. But we've got to evolve past that. There's so many areas that we've got to do better at.
Right.
We've got to do better at. Somehow we got to go back and get the fire again and regain the passion for whether it be sharing the gospel, whether it be just presenting the gospel, whether it just be presenting the kingdom.
Right.
And so really the message for 2018 is evolve.
Right.
Be better than where you are right now.
Amen. Man, yes.
By this time next year, you know, I want to be sitting. See, look, I'm trying to hook up my appointment for next year. So when I come back next year, you know, I want to be at OWN Studio next year. You know what I mean? I want because you know, it's funny because let's talk about the natural progression. I did my homework before I came on the show.
Okay.
It is so funny because the original Simone show was just audio, no visual.
Right.
And then I saw the first show where you actually went to video. And then the video, it was just one camera shot. And then it was like, oh, she added an extra camera shot. They're panning. They're going back and forth between the camera shots.
Right.
Evolving.
Right.
The show had to evolve.
Right.
And so therein lies the principle for every believer. What you're doing in your life, you've got to evolve.
You
should
grow.
not be doing the same thing that around this time next year that you're stuck with this year.
And if I can add this, the scripture that comes to my mind is when Jesus talks about if you don't produce fruit.
Oh.
So there has to be growth. And so our lives have to look like a tree that produces fruit.
You have to produce
fruit. We're going to go through times where we're budding. We're going to go through times where the fruit is on the branch. We're going to go through times where we're dormant. But there always has to be activity that leads towards growth. Because otherwise, what are you doing?
And so God messed with us. And this was part of our series. Lord allowed us to share this word with everyone a couple of weeks ago. And we talked about stretch marks. God gave us a message on stretch marks, and we talked about stretch marks. And what's so unique about stretch marks is they're literally one of the ugliest things to look at on your body. I hate my stretch marks. I haven't fell in love with my stretch marks. I haven't got comfortable with looking at my stretch marks. Most people don't like looking at stretch marks,
right?
You know, but we're not going to discuss our stretch marks. But you know, we'll be here all day talking about all of the stretch marks we have. But the thing about stretch marks, they're ugly to talk about. They're ugly because right when I said stretch marks, everybody in the room started cringing like, why are you bringing that up, Cephus? Really? You better be going somewhere with this because, you know, and so it's ugly to look at. It's ugly to think about. It's ugly to discuss. So that's one thing about stretch marks. The second thing about stretch marks that are interesting, even though they're ugly, it's a reminder of how much I've grown.
Right.
And so, you know, I look at some of the things that we've been through in 2017. If we're honest, we've got to praise God for our stretch marks.
Right.
Because even though the divorce was ugly, you know, even though the loss of income was ugly, even though the fallout with people was ugly, you know, even though my relationship with my kids that I went through might be ugly, if I'm honest with myself, through all of these ugly circumstances, I've grown.
Right.
And so when you talk about evolving, it's actually looking at all of the ugly things that we've been through in life up to this point and recognizing it was ugly, but where did I grow from that?
Right.
Because no matter how ugly the situation is, I've grown.
Right.
You know, divorces are a hard thing to go through, but believe it or not, you grow through them.
Right.
A loss of income, a loss of a job is a hard thing to go through. But believe it or not, I've grown from it. Now I know to ask the question the next time I find a new place of employment is to say, well, what's the turnover ratio like here? Because I want to know how often do y'all fire people and let people go? I mean, you've grown.
Right.
You grow from these situations. So when we talk about evolving, you have to look at where are my opportunities at? What did I go through that I've grown from? Mm-hmm. And looking at that, how I've grown.
Right. That's really good. And then if I can add this, I would say the question is, what did I learn?
What did I learn?
You know what I mean? If I get fired from a job, what did I learn that maybe I could do next time?
Right.
So maybe you getting fired, that had nothing to do with you. The company was downsizing. It was just the luck of the draw, right? And you got let go. But maybe what did I learn about financial management?
Come on.
You know what I mean? What did I learn about, maybe next time I'm going to save a lot more so that I'm not stressed out this time around.
And that's the other piece about evolving. I got to be better with my money.
Right.
I've got to be better with my time.
Right.
Why is it that I'm always running out of time?
Right.
I'm talking to some people now because if you have a consistent lifestyle of showing up everywhere late,
right.
If you have trust me, if you're late, it bleeds over to everything.
Right.
Usually, you're probably late with paying your bills on time. Oh, I'm preaching now. You're probably, you're probably late with picking up the kids. You're probably late to come into work. Mm-hmm. You're probably late to church. You're probably late everywhere. What part of my own individual relationship do I need to evolve in? How do I need to be better with my time?
Right.
In 2018, because I'm always running out of time. Do I overbook and overextend and overcommit?
Right. And that's the ADD piece.
That's the ADD piece when we talk about consistency. We ready to talk about consistency?
No. We're going to get there, though.
We'll come back.
But that's the ADD piece. Because seriously, when you think about looking at where you are, I was having this conversation with a friend yesterday, and this could be a Simone 101 type thing. I read sometimes, and I hear people say sometimes, do it for your haters. Do it for, all the people who said you couldn't make it. Do it for this, be better than that person. And that's just, I'm not wired that way. Because in my mind, what I think is, if I'm doing it with somebody else in mind,
yes,
then that means I'm living for that person on some level.
Right.
I may not outwardly admit it, but if I have this individual in front of me and I'm going to outdo you, then you become the goal.
Right.
And you become the target. And in my mind, in some way, that pulls me away from my purpose.
Yeah.
Because my purpose is not to outdo you.
Right.
My purpose is to outdo me.
Right.
My purpose is not to press towards your mark. My purpose in life is to press towards the high call of God that's in Christ Jesus. Right. So if there's anybody I should aspire to be like, it should be Christ himself. And what did he represent? Excellence. Mm-hmm. And so my desire and my goal should always be, I need to be better than where I am right now. So when I look at my life, it has to be, okay, am I in the same financial position I was a year ago? Mm. And then really give yourself a grade.
Right. She said give yourself a grade.
Like really give yourself a grade, like for real.
Right.
Like I'm
a C. Right.
Right. Am I in the same financial position? And not the grade you want to have, but the grade you really have.
Right.
And so there's some places in my life when I come to the end of the year, I'm like, okay, God, I have an A in this area, but yeah, I'm failing in this area. I'm not even going to give myself a C. That's like a straight up F. Mm. Or in this area, you know what? There's a C because here are the mitigating circumstances around this. that produces. It may sound like an excuse to others, but here are the real life things that prevented this.
Right.
So in this area, there's a C. And then tally all that stuff up and then say, okay, what's the overall grade that I'm going to give myself this year? When I look at, you know what I mean? When I look at 2017, what is the grade? Not that I'm going to give to everybody else. What is the grade that I'm going to give myself? And then come the end of 2018, what grade do I hope to get when I get to 2018?
I like that. That those are attainable goals. You know, and what you said just now, it sparked something else. You know, doing things for other people might get you started, but it's not enough to keep you on the journey.
No.
It might be original. You know, it might be the original thought by you getting up out of bed and finally doing something.
Right.
But it's not going to sustain you.
Right.
Not over a long period of time. You have to finally embrace the vision for yourself in order to keep going, because you're right. Doing it for someone else is not enough to keep you going.
Well, it's empty. And then it's assuming that y'all pray for me. I need it. It's assuming the other person cares.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you're doing all this stuff, like, I'm going to prove to them, and I'm going to show them that I can do, and then you get it, and you're kind of like, ta-da, and they're just like, okay.
Right. I didn't know you were doing anything.
And then so now, now all this stuff that you've done, it almost becomes like it's in vain, because it was done with the wrong motivation. It was done for the wrong reasons.
Right.
And so... like I said, I will not take credit for it. I think it's just the way I'm wired. I'm kind of like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that for you. Mm-hmm. And you're not in my view. Like, I have something else in view. I need you to move. Because, no. God, what is it that you want me to accomplish?
Right.
How is it? And then how do you want me to evolve?
Yeah, I like that. I might take that for the vision statement.
I offer it freely. It was given freely. I offer it freely.
You know what's unique, too, and here's the other interesting thing that gets me, is one of the things that I'm always looking at, that I always take audit on, is, bro, do you believe what God has shown you? Do you believe what comes out of your mouth for other people? Do you believe what you're putting in a Bible study outline? Because if it's not, and that's the challenge, I think, of every minister and of in every ministry,
right?
Is if I can't apply this, or if I don't believe it, don't share it.
That's good.
Don't share it.
Or even if you share it with this is where I'm struggling, and so let's go on this journey together.
Yeah. And that's, you know, when you talk about that, you know, evolve, get to the place to where what I'm sharing or what I'm doing, I've sold out to this thing. I believe this thing.
Right.
Or I'm striving to get there too.
Right.
Hey, I'm on this bus.
Right.
You know, I'm on this bus along with everybody else. I'm a passenger on this bus with everyone else. So.
Right. Not, y'all meet me when you get there.
When we get to the top, you know, there's VIP seating at the top when you get up here with me, right? No.
Right. No, that's really good. So I really like what you brought out about evolving and the whole idea of becoming better stewards with our time and money and opportunities. Just because I'm going to share this before we go to break. He is always giving me a hard time about how I never share anything. He wants to interview me, and that's not going to happen because that's not the way the show is set up. But I will share this. Like, when I think about being better stewards of time, like, I was sharing with a friend of mine, I can look at my time this year and go, okay, God, yeah, I spent way too much time on stupid stuff. Like, I could have accomplished a whole lot more in 2017 than I did because I totally mismanaged my time. And on the outside, it may look like, oh, no, because I see you doing this. No, I mismanaged time. I have to be honest enough to be like, no, I mismanaged time. So a friend of mine was going out of town today. And I am like, what? Out? Travel? Let's go. I want to go right now.
Right.
And I kind of had to take a step back and go, no, you have responsibilities. There's stuff that you need to get done, and there are things that you need to get in order, either before the new year gets here or as you're going into the new year. So you're going to say no to that trip. Another friend of mine texted me this morning, are you up? You want to do brunch? Everything in me was like, I do. I want to. Right after the show, we'll meet up. And I had to be like, no. No, I have responsibilities and I have things to take care of. But that's me becoming cognizant of my ability to become easily distracted.
Right.
And avoid the work that needs to be done.
Right.
And to mismanage and so the domino effect is I engage in task avoidance because I really don't want to, this needs to be done and I really don't want to do it because it's not fun.
Say that.
It's not fun.
Right.
I don't want to do that. That's not fun. So it's much fun. It's much more fun to go out of town on a day trip with a friend of mine and have a great time.
Right.
But burn 8 hours and get nothing done that I really need to get done.
Right.
Or, no, I'm not going to go out of town, but let's go to brunch. And so now the domino effect becomes all the stuff over here that needs to be done is not done. And now I've just added to that spending money that maybe I really didn't need to spend, that I could have invested somewhere else.
Come on.
Because of what God is requiring of me in 2018. And not just 2018, but beyond.
Right.
And so it's really taking that assessment to be like, no. I need to be a much better steward of my time. And part of that acknowledgement is realizing, you know what, God, I've mismanaged time this year. Thank you for grace and thank you for mercy. But yeah, this year I mismanaged time like a beast.
Right.
I mismanaged some time. You know what I mean? I was just like, time.
Right.
Right.
And this is time that we don't get back. And you're not assured that you're going to get you're not going to get more time to go ahead and do what you said you mismanaged.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's tomorrow's not given, you know. We see people die all the time.
Right.
And I'm not, but let's get away from the death part. I'm not sure what's going to come up in my life that's going to take up my time.
Well.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm not sure what's going to happen that's going to take up my time, or who might take up my time in the next season.
Or,
that's it.
Bye. But then no.
Yeah, you know.
I need both of y'all to shut down. But not only that, though, it's to piggyback on what you're saying. It's because I mismanaged my time in 2018.
Right.
What am I now unprepared for that's coming in 2018?
Right.
What am I unprepared for?
Yeah.
Because I didn't handle time well over here.
Yeah.
So then it goes back to grace and mercy, and it comes back to the acknowledgement. And I was sharing with someone not too long ago, something that a friend gave me over a decade ago, which is God reveals to heal. And so once he makes you cognizant of the thing that you're lacking in, it's not to condemn you. It is to heal you. It's to say, I need you to bring this to me.
Right.
Because it's time for us to work on this area. We've worked out these other areas. And so now this is what I'm not pleased with.
Right.
I'm not mad at you and I don't hate you, but I want you to do better in this area.
Right.
And so now time becomes an issue because the truth be told, as much as I may not want to stare down the barrel of that gun, there's some stuff coming in 2018 that I may not be prepared for.
Right.
God's grace will help me get through it, but I may not be prepared for it because I wasted time in 2017. And really being like, that's a sobering thought. That's like the lights flipping on and windows flying open and covers being pulled back and being like, whew, I'm not ready for that.
Right.
And so it's like, God help me to change the way I handle time going forward.
Right.
And that's part of the evolution.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, you guys, we're going to take a break. We'll be back in studio with Pastor Shaunte Cephus, who's going to give us more things to think about, more things to unpack. We're going to talk about consistency when we get back in just a moment.
You are listening to the San Diego station of inspiration. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. KTAV Radio. For more information on how you can advertise your business, event, or services, please visit us online at ktav.tv or call 619-246-6131. We are also offering 30 and 60-minute time slots for your ministry or podcast. For more information on how you can become a part of KTAV Station of Inspiration lineup, please call 619-246-6131 or visit us online at ktav.tv/ministry.
All right, everyone, we're back in studio with Pastor Shaunte Cephus of Epic Encounters here in the city of San Diego. We're going to continue the conversation. We're going to be talking about consistency. Talk to us about consistency, the ADD issue that we have in the church, in our personal lives, staying on task, and the importance of diligence.
Right. So just being consistent. When we look at, 2018, there's a lot of things that we just have to be consistent at. Simone Edwards' show has grown because you've sown here. You were consistent at it. Mm-hmm. It's saying that I can't go out of town because there are things in the show that need to be done.
Right.
It's saying that, no, I'm going to have to skip breakfast because there's some things on the show that I need to be done.
Right.
You can't always take the easy way out.
Right.
And this is the part of consistency that people hate, is that sometimes I might have to tarry in the same place even when I don't see fruit.
Ooh, that's good.
That I have to, it's like, man, I have to keep doing this. And this is what I spoke about earlier. This is where this is where the problem with chore pops up at.
Right.
Because it's like, man, I don't feel, doing the same thing over and over doesn't feel spiritual at all.
Right.
Sowing, a lot of times, does not feel spiritual at all. Mm-hmm. But therein lies the calling, is the fact that I'm going to be consistent and do this because I know that it will yield fruit one day. But here's the thing, you're not on my timeline. I'm not on my own timeline. I'm on God's timeline. And being that He's the author of time, He knows when time starts and when time ends and when the appointed time is coming.
Right.
It's funny because, we work, God works outside of time.
Right.
Man lives in time.
Right.
But when we pray, it's to get stuff on time.
Right.
God has an appointed time for everything in our lives. And see, that's the problem, because we get a little skittish when it comes to consistency.
Right.
And so that's when the whole ADD piece comes in. Because I get it, saints, I get it. We want to do so much for everybody to the point that we overcommit ourselves. Mm-hmm. And here's the thing, when we start to overcommit ourselves, we develop ADD.
Right.
Now you're everywhere. You can't be consistent at one thing because you've committed to doing everything.
Right.
And because you've committed to doing everything, you're a master of none.
Right.
And so what I'm proposing is, and this is my personal journey for 2018, is I'm looking at what I'm overcommitting to. Mm-hmm. Because I hear a lot of people say that I don't have time for this in my life. I don't have time for church. I don't have time for children. I don't have time for this. I don't have time for that. My question to us is, where have we overcommitted ourselves to the point that we're not effective in that thing?
And can I just throw this out there? I think sometimes we have to be honest and say that's not my priority.
It's not my priority.
And stop blaming time.
That's not my priority, or I might not be called to do that in this season.
Right.
I'm not ready for that. So we got all these goals. Okay, look, I'm gonna be committed to my ministry that God has given me. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna be committed to my entrepreneurial opportunities. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna be committed to getting a better education. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna be committed to going all out for the family. And you start adding all these commitments, and you're not able to be consistent at any of them.
Right. That's good.
And it cracks me up, because we are the worst ones when it comes to having ADD, because we're all over the place. We got new ventures happening. We got new things that we want to do. We're always looking at new opportunities, and it's okay to field opportunities and say, you know what, that might be open for me somewhere down the line. Mm-hmm. Maybe in the next season I'll pick that up.
Right.
But we really have to get the ADD under control. 2018 is about you going somewhere and sitting down. You're everywhere. You're all over the place. You're doing too much.
Right.
We're trying to be there for everybody. That is one of my big problems because you can't be a pastor if you're not passionate about people.
Right.
And so with being passionate about people, we sometimes get it flipped and get it twisted sometimes where we feel like we have to be there for people because we are passionate about them. We want to be there for people. We want to always be in people's corner. But sometimes we do that. And what happens is we now become sloppy at caring for people.
What do you mean?
Come sloppy because now I'm spending more time trying to be there for everybody that somebody inevitably is going to miss out on my time.
Got it.
And sometimes, for most people in ministry, it's at the expense of our families.
Wow.
So 2018 is about going somewhere and sitting down, not overcommitting yourself, shutting down the ADD. Be realistic about, okay, I have this amount of time to really work with in a week. Okay, be diligent with that time that you do have.
And then I'm thinking when you're talking about overcommitting, that sometimes it comes down to, I think we put more on ourselves than God does.
Yes.
And instead of running to the aid of that person is really taking a moment to say, God, is this something you want me to do?
Right.
Or should I be delegating this to someone else?
Right.
Or should I leave that person alone because they're capable of getting up, but they're used to somebody always coming to their rescue and helping them up?
Right.
And maybe they need to learn how to get up on their own this time around. But it's really a matter of stopping and asking the Lord in that moment, is this something that you want me to do right now? Not divorcing that from obviously, helping the person on the street. But here you're dealing with somebody who is kind of, like I said, may have become accustomed to someone always running to their aid to get them up.
Right.
And it's kind of like, God's like, no, I want them to be in this position because they need to learn how to depend on me. And as a pastor, you being okay with knowing that the ultimate shepherd is going to take care of that individual.
And really, we have to watch it because we can't be Captain Save 'em to everybody.
Right.
We're trying to help everybody do everything. And it's just like, no. You still need to help yourself get some things straight. Even on a personal level, we allow the kids to overcommit us. I got to take you here, and then I got to take you across the street, across town to do this, and then you got to be back here by 5 o'clock to do this. And it's like, wait a minute, but you have no card, no license. So now you've signed me up, and I'm ignorant saying, yeah, you can do everything. And I'm realizing, no, because your time is really my time.
Right.
And we as a family don't have time to make all of those commitments. So some stuff, little Johnny or little Rebecca, you just have to say no to. You can't fulfill that obligation.
Right.
Because as a family, just not even on a spiritual level, just as a family, we're everywhere.
Right.
It's like, okay, are you going to do this year? What happened to this? Why did you drop that? Oh, that's not for me. Well, look, hold on.
Right.
We're everywhere. We're all spread out. And we developed this whole ADD thing. But in 2018, we have to be more focused and diligent on the task at hand. Stop stretching ourselves too thin.
I like that. And really it's about asking God in the midst of setting those goals. It's, God, what are the goals that I need to set for this year?
Right.
Where is it that, especially if we're going to say that we're believers and we're people who are following after Christ, we're Christians.
Right.
Right? It's, God, what are the goals that you have for my life? I know I have these goals that I want to meet. Do the goals that I want to meet line up with the goals that you have for my life? And if they don't, then show me what are the things that maybe I need to take off the list either for this season or for this year so that I can either bring things in or just remove them from the list altogether so that I can aim towards that goal of being consistent, whether it's, being a consistent, for men, being a consistent husband, for women, being a consistent wife, being a consistent parent, being a consistent member of my church. Where are the areas that you want me to commit?
Right.
And then the other side of commitment, the other piece of commitment is once God has shown you what it is that you're supposed to do, being okay with the fact that it may not fit into everybody else's comfort zone, and that's okay.
And you got to be okay with that.
Right. And be okay with saying, no, I'm sorry, I can't do that, because these are the commitments that God has placed in my life. And so now it's time for me to erect some boundaries and say, I can help you, but I can only help you this much. Or I'm not going to be able to do that.
Right. Without
feeling like, oh my God, you asked me for help, and so because you asked, I have to help you. No. If this doesn't align with what it is that I'm supposed to be doing right now, I can't allow myself to be taken off the course that I'm supposed to be on because you're crying for help over here. Mm-hmm. Where in this can I help you? And if it's beyond that, then I can't do that.
I agree.
Yeah, I really like that. All right, let's close out with what not to do in 2018. 48 hours away, less than 48. What, 46? Yeah. 47?
There's 48 hours of 2017 left. Mm-hmm. And, I was thinking about, there's a couple things, and I'll put this point out there, and I'll leave it alone. Mm-hmm. It's interesting because, the scripture talks about the wise men followed the stars. Mm-hmm. And God showed me, first of all, that wise men followed Jesus.
Right.
But also, too, these men took their gifts and their talents of knowing astrology and of knowing the arts, mm-hmm. and they used their gifts, and it led them to Jesus.
Right.
And really, in 2018, it's about understanding, and this is what we learned from 2017, is that really my gifts should lead me to Jesus.
Right.
And here's something that we need to understand, that your gifts lead you to Jesus. And a lot of us have gotten gifts of relationships, of friendships, of houses, of homes, of cars. But we've quickly realized that those gifts have taken us away from Jesus.
Wow.
And really, if your gift doesn't bring you closer to Jesus, it's not a gift, it's a distraction.
Wow.
And so recognizing that in 2018, what not to do in 2018, don't get distracted.
That's good.
Don't let your gift be a distraction.
That's good.
It can't be a distraction. The things that God's blessed you with, the talents that God's blessed you with, the children that God's blessed you with can no longer be a distraction from you and Jesus.
That's good.
It can't be. And really that's the big thing behind 2018, is knowing that are my gifts now becoming a distraction.
I love that. So we're going to close out this last show of the year with this thought as we end 2017 and we head towards 2018. Let your gifts lead you to the giver of the gifts.
Amen.
All right. We've been in studio with Pastor Shaunte Cephus of Epic Encounters here in San Diego. Pastor Shaunte, if someone's listening and they're looking for a church home, how can they get in contact with you, with Epic? Where are you located? When do you have service? Give us the full details.
We meet on Sundays at 2 p.m., mm-hmm. 810 Buena Vista Way. Mm-hmm. You can also look us up on social media. You can also look us up on our website, myepicencounters.com. Mm-hmm. You can also look me up on social media and contact me directly. We have no problem giving you the address and just wanting you to come visit and just enjoy Jesus with us.
Excellent. And if you missed any of that because maybe you were on the road or you're running around the house and you've got this playing in the background, send us an email at the Simone Edwards Show and we will definitely forward that on to Pastor Cephus. Thank you so much for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of the 46 hours, however many hours we have left of it's dwindling of 2017. Do a year in review, and I hope that when you do a year in review that it comes out positive, that despite the ups and the downs, that this overall was a good year, even if everything wasn't good. Right. You are still here, and God is still on the throne, and there is still an opportunity for you to go to greater heights in Him and to know Him even more. Thank you so much for your time. We look forward to seeing you in 2018. Thank you for spending your time with us. It means the world to me. Thank you for your words of encouragement and support along the way. We'll see you soon. Bye.
You are listening to the San Diego station of inspiration. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. KTAV Radio. For more information on how you can advertise your business, event, or services, please visit us online at KTAV.tv or call 619-246-6131. We are also offering 30 and 60-minute time slots for your ministry or podcast. For more information on how you can become a part of KTAV's Station of Inspiration lineup, please call 619-246-6131 or visit us online at ktav.tv/ministry.